It all begins near Porta Maggiore, one of the ancient entrances to the medieval city. Here, there was a tower used as a prison. The historian Pacichelli described the village as surrounded by walls, with forts, a castle, and a church. In 1497, the name Camarda was replaced by Bernalda. The first traces of Camarda date back to 1083. At the time, it was considered a village of little importance, but over the time, it contributed to the revolt of Torremare Castle on the behalf of Frederick II of Sweden. The meaning of Camarda is uncertain. It could be a camp or a mass of brambles. In the 18th century, Bernalda was already well structured, with 7 by streets crossed by 8 narrow ones, designed to protect the village from the north wind. Bernardino de Bernardo was the first feudal lord, a well-educated and traveled nobleman, ambassador to Pope Alexander VI. He received Bernalda in 1497 when he lost the Calabrian feud of Montalto.
In the 17th century, the population varied between 207,000 and 4,000 inhabitants, where the Church of Carmine de Piazzale dei Parlamentari stood, where the criminal prison and the Church of the Madonna delle Grazie were also located. The last of the Bernaudos, Bernardino II, chose ecclesiastical life. The family renounced to the feud and in 1624 Bernalda was sold, finally passing in 1687 to the Perez Ramarrete family for 17,000 ducats. Palazzo Amic, near the Portella, takes its name from the light that filtered from above, like a lantern. Opposite there was the palace of the notary Ambrosano, connected to the new lords of the village. In 1735, Charles III of Bourbon stopped in Bernalda for his birthday. As a symbol of gratitude, he granted the title of city. The castle, with a square plan, was protected by a dry moat and a wooden bridge. It had towers, arrow slits, battlements, and patrol walkways. It was sacked in 1799 by the Sanfedisti. Over the time, the castle passed to the Sant'Angelo family and then to the Caruso family, who transformed it into dwellings. Only in 1999, it returned to the community, purchased by the municipality of Bernalda.
Bernalda Castle stands above the Basento Valley, facing southeast. It was built in the 4th century AD by the Romans to protect the harbour of Metaponto. The original plan was a square measuring 20 meters per side, with a single tower to control the valley. In the Middle Ages, the Normans and Angevins adapted the structure, which was then expanded in the 15th century by Bernardino de Bernardo, from whom the city takes its name. The subsequent owners, the Perez Navarrete family, added new wings and a tower, transforming the fortress into a noble residence. One of the towers, restored after the collapse, retained ingredients and loopholes for crossbowmen. Another has been adapted to a kitchen with a visible fireplace. The Angeles Tower housed the gun barrels to defend the southern entrance. From the windows, you can see the valley. You can see Metaponto, Torreaccio, and Torremare, once connected by light signal. Torreaccio was also a tall tower. Ships were checked and taxed. The patrol path runs along the upper walls, overlooking battlements and loopholes. Here the castle was defended with the harbours, stone and boiling water. Some space still retain the beams of the original path and the typical cross vault. Today the castle has 3 different towers, a cylindrical one of Roman origin, a square Norman one, and a truncate cone-shaped tower typical of Egypt. The 4th tower was destroyed during the expansions. Inside, underground tunnels connected the castle to the valley and to the sisters. used as water reserve and escape route in the event of a siege. The water collection system, rainwater and groundwater, guaranteed drinking water to the entire fiefdom. In 1735, Charles III of Bourbon visited Bernalda for his 18th birthday. The citizens asked for help against the tax imposed by the local lords. The king listened to them, granted tax refill, and Bernalda obtained the title of city.
The Mother Church of Bernalda, dedicated to San Bernardino, is a sober, essential building, built in 1530 by will of the Duke of Bernalda. A pastoral visit in 1544 confirms its existence. At the time, the church had a single nave, 3 altars, and 3 chapels. The side aisles were added later. The one on the right was created from the old sacristy, the one on the left only at the end of the 18th century. In 1726, an inventory describes the church with 7 chapels, 8 altars, a bell tower with 2 bells, and important relics, including the robe of San Bernardino, bones of martyrs, and the skull of San Vito. Inside, there were also 2 cemeteries, one for priests, the other for the small children. During the 19th century, the building was enlarged, losing part of its original structure. A restoration in the 1930s attempted to restore the simple appearance of its origins. Today, Mother Church remains a symbol of the history and devotion of the Bernalda community.
Today, the castle tells centuries of history between architecture battles and hopes. In Piazza Plebiscito is the complex of Sant'Antonio, formed by the church and the ancient convent, now the seat of the city hall. It was founded in 1615 by the Reformed minor friars, who arrived in Bernalda after the Reformation of 1593. The construction lasted 2 years and was financed by the citizens themselves with the support of the local university. Over time, the complex was modified. The clock tower was added, new buildings to the south, and the facade was redesigned towards the square. The cloister still preserves traces of ancient frescoes on the walls. Above the portico, the corridor that led to the friars' cells, now municipal office, maintains the original structure, pavilion vaults with lunettes. The church, built together with the convent, in theory had a single nave. In 1684, a side nave was added, bringing the number of altars to 8. Later, the entrance hall with the upper choir was built, which can be recognized today in the area preceding the main entrance. The bell tower, with a square plan and an oriental-style spire, was the last element to enrich the complex together with the library. Inside the barrel vault with lunette, it's decorated with elegant 18th century details. The apse has a square shape and is covered by a vaulted ceiling. The facade, remodeled in 1819, is sober and balanced. 4 pilasters divide the spires into the 3 parts, while the central crowing ends with a curvilinear cimatium and 2 ellipsoidal windows, a place of worship, history and culture in the heart of Bernalda.
Torre di Mare was founded in the 11th century of the western edge of the Greek city of Metaponto, from which materials were reused for its construction. In 1119, the castrum Sancte Trinitatis became the residence of Countess Emma Maccabeo and was fortified by archways with a defense tower protecting the coast and the Monte Scaioso hinterland. The area included the Santa Pelagina Basin, with a natural harbor, and later came under the control of the Benedict monastery of San Michele Arcangelo. In the 12th century, the site appears in documents as Turis Maris, with a period of significant development between the 13th and 14th centuries. The site included the tower section of walls, peasant houses, warehouse, and structures for travelers along the Trattura Reggio, an important pastoral route. A decree imposed a duty on each head of livestock passing through. In the 14th century, the settlement was abandoned, like many other villages, but between the 15th and 16th centuries, it was rebuilt to strengthen defense against the Turks. In 1459, it became a fiefdom of the Del Balzo family, and in 1497 was sold by King Frederick for 6,000 ducats. Frequent clashes between the Eastern and Western empires made Torre di Mare a crossroad of civilization. But with the arrival of malaria, the plague of 1656, and agricultural decline, the site was definitely depopulated. Over time, many of its structures were dismantled to build buildings in Bernalda. Only a few remain survive. After the unification of Italy, the construction of the Ionian Railway in 1869 brought the name Metaponto back into fashion. Under Frederick II, in 1239, Torre di Mare became one of the 11 nobles ports of the kingdom, playing a strategic role for grain trade between Basilicata, Puglia, and Sicily. The port was at the mouth of Basento River and was entrusted to imperial officials. Today, Torre di Mare tells a story of power, exchange, and rebirth amidst the sea, malaria, and memory.
The Metaponto Archaeological Park preserves the remains of one of the most important Greek colonies in Italy, founded in the second half of the 6th century BC by Asian colonists from the Peloponnese. It arose on a fertile plain between the Basento and Bradano rivers and extended over approximately 115 hectares, protected by the mighty walls dating back to the 6th century BC. The city enjoyed a long period of prosperity until the Romans' conquest in the 3rd century BC. The tour allows visitors to discover the main sites of the civil and religious life of the ancient polis. The street network, the agora with the styria and epicentrum, the artisan square dedicated to the pottery, the necropolis, and the human castrum built to oust the garrison during the wars against Cam are still recognizable. The heart of the city was a sacred area enclosed by large orthogonal streets. Here are the remains of the imposing Doric and Ionic temples dedicated to the main Greek deities. The Temple of Hera, Temple A, the largest of the Euboean sanctuary, in Doric style 6th century BC, built and rebuilt in 560 and 530 BC. The Temple of Apollo, Temple B, with 2 construction phases, one never completed and one contemporary with the Temple of Hera. The Temple of Athena, Temple C, with a limestone block base dating back to the early 6th century BC. The Temple of Aphrodite, Temple B, built around 460 BC in Ionic style, a rare example of this architectural order in Italy. In front of the temples are the remains of the altars, while in the agora you can see the theater and the altar dedicated to Zeus. To the south, a large portico and trapezoidal enclosure were perhaps linked to the mystery cults and fortune telling, attracting figures such as the poet shaman Aristus and Proconnus. On the edge of the urban area, 2 important sanctuaries arose, that of San Biagio and Venela, above all are the famous Hera Temple, the most representative monumentum of the colony, a Doric temple dedicated to Hera, of which 15 majestic columns still remain today. Next door is the Antiquarium, which is based finds from the first excavation campaigns. The necropolises such as Crucinia, located along the road that connected the city to the Hera temples, complete the picture. The Temple of Hera, known as Tavola Palatina, stands about 3 kilometers from the ancient city of Metaponto, on the last undulation of the Givoni, near the right bank of the Bradano River. The Hera, inhabited since the Neolithic, was crossed by an ancient road that connected Syrs Heraclea to Metapontum. Built in the 6th century BC, the temple was initially attributed to Athena. Only in 1926, thanks to the discovery of the ceramic fragment with a volute technication, was its consecration to Hera confirmed. Over time, the monumentum took on various names: Palatine corbels or columns, in reference to the medieval legends of the Palatine of France; School of Pythagoras, linked to the memory of the philosopher who lived in Metapontum; Mensae Imperatoris, probably commemorating the step over of the Emperor Otto during the